PDS, it's me, Becky Fahlhaber, up on the big screen to talk to you today about what I learned this semester in PDS. And what I learned this semester in PDS is that sword fighting and learning to teach are two very similar things. And I'm going to show you those steps exactly what I mean, so keep on watching. So, we're going to take a brief pause to talk to you about one of my favorite subjects I got to teach this semester, and that's science. I taught science in the first grade and I absolutely loved it. The kids got so much of the terminology and they were always so excited to see us. I mean, they were so engaged. It was really exciting. But I have to say, one of my favorite parts of teaching science, and one of my favorite parts of the semester, was my creation of Dr. Sunny Sunshine III, the great scientist. And I know I had promised a couple of you that you could see one of his videos, so here's your chance to see Dr. Sunny Sunshine III, the great scientist in action. So let's have a look at his first video.
Oh, good morning, boys and girls. My name is Dr. Sunny Sunshine III, the great scientist, and I'm here today to talk to you about weather. Later today, you and your teacher are going to be going over words that describe what weather is. But first, what exactly is weather? Well, very simply, boys and girls, weather is everything that happens all around you, in the sky, in the air. Anytime you see a cloud or feel a raindrop, that is all weather. So, before you go off and you start talking with your teacher, I'm going to go over one really tough weather thing first. And that word is tornadoes. Have any of you boys and girls ever heard of a tornado or know what a tornado is? If so, raise your hand high for your teacher. Get both hands up in the air. I'm watching you guys. Yeah, get your hands up. All right. So some of you guys do know what a tornado is. Well, for those of you that don't, a tornado is when wind blows really, really hard and it starts circling together and circling faster and faster until it starts to pick up dirt and everything else off the ground. So anytime you see a funnel that kind of looks upside down and swirling really fast, that is a tornado. So alright, boys and girls, now it's your turn to go out there with your teacher and come up with some great words that describe what weather is. So, go out, do your best, and remember, get your scientist goggles on.
Did you like Dr. Sunny Sunshine III? Because I really think he's quite amazing. The students were always so engaged and loved to listen to hear him talk. Another one of the things I loved about our science unit was our scientist meeting. The students were always so engaged and loved talking about what they had learned and loved talking especially what Dr. Sunny Sunshine III, the great scientist, had to say. I never knew science like this teaching existed because it was not what I was taught. I was taught books and worksheets as a student and that was about it. But now I have this background and I plan to use it in my classroom when I get the chance to. So I'm really excited. Can't wait to teach some more science units. I have to say, the iMovie is one of my strong points. Very strong at doing that and being creative. One of my weaker points for science is when I have to write stuff down or write in professional manner. I know what I want to say up in my head, but I tend to skip words and that doesn't always come out on paper like I want it to. But that just means I have to take time to have someone proofread it, and that's okay. But hey, I think it's time to move on to the next step of our stage. But remember, before you go, whenever doing science, get your scientist goggles on! from our movie, we've got another subject to talk about that we got to teach this semester, and that would be math. What we got to teach in math, well, I got to teach first grade math, I got to teach fifth grade math, and I got to teach fourth grade math. So it wasn't just one level of math I got to talk. So the first thing I'm going to talk to you about is first grade math. And learning that you have to do activities that are engaging to the students and make them excited about math, make them excited about school. It's not just about, here's a worksheet, do it, practice your math facts, which is what I learned in school, and that's what they had done for me when I was younger. I made math exciting by, one of my lessons I did for first grade was I had pattern blocks. Except they weren't the typical pattern blocks that you're used to that are just hard and the students just put them together. No, mine were pattern block sponges. And the students would stamp on the shape into the corresponding outline. And they loved it. And I was super organized and had all the sheets already prepared for them and knew what the order they were going to go in. Had the students put on paint shirts and they had just so much fun, and you could tell they were learning because they knew those shapes, and it was a great experience to see. Now, moving into fifth grade lesson. Fifth grade was a little bit more difficult because we were teaching them decimals and fractions, and wasn't always sure how well it was going to go or how much they were going to do, so I always over-planned way too much. But one of the fun activities I did with the fifth graders in fraction, it was called dessert fraction. The students were given several different types of desserts. This is some cherry pie we have here. And they had to piece up their perfect dessert, whether it be cherry pie, chocolate chip cookies, and they were each cut into different fractions. So once they had picked out the 3 desserts they wanted in their circle, they had to add up the fractions. But the catch was, not all of the fractions had the same denominator. So they had to figure out how to do the common denominator. And they really got engaged, and they loved doing the fraction desserts, and they're joking around with each other, and they were learning, and it was just so exciting to see. And the last subject I taught was 4th grade. And in 4th grade, I taught them graphing, and I did this awesome think aloud where I was making my graph and asking myself questions as I was doing it. And the students then had to make that graph on their own, and they could do it. You could see the learning and the gears turning in their head as I was doing it, and they were so excited. They wanted to do another day of graphing. Well, the problem was we didn't have time. So I learned my strengths again are creativity and math. I know how to make activities fun for the students, and my goal for the future is to not just give my students worksheets. There are many more options out there. There are many resources we could use. And I've just hacked into a few of them, and I can't wait to find more of them to use for my future classrooms. Oh, but I think it's time for another video and another step of our learning process of learning to sword fight and learning how to teach. Let's have a look. Surely not least, I'm going to talk to you about reading. The reading we've done this semester. We haven't really taught reading, but we've taught it in context. But we've also observed quite a few reading lessons and read the book Reading with Meaning by Debbie Miller. This book, I wasn't sure if I was going to like it at first, but it's such a great resource. There's so many great ideas in it, whether it's from activities for the students to do, helping them pick best books, making connections with the students. It just gives you, it's such a wealth of information that you can use as a teacher and will help guide you and teach you how to teach your students schema and building and making connections with everything. My teacher surely didn't do all of this when I was learning how to read. I personally struggled as a reader when I was a student, but I never was introduced to this system. Maybe it would have been a little bit different if we would have done something like this when I was younger. Who knows? So reading is something I surely am excited to teach, and I'm really looking forward to Reading Block and taking this book with me and seeing what I can share with wealth of students and learning how to do. Should be quite fun. That's the end of my presentation. I've shared with you the 4 steps of how sword fighting and learning to teach are very similar. But the thing is, there's always new things to learn. There's new things to learn about teaching, and there's new things to learn about sword fighting. And I do look forward in the future to learning even more about both.